Hey guys, it's Al with techmadeezy, and I'm in the kitchen and we're just finishing up some testing on the brand new AC240. Now this is actually an IP65 rated power station by Bluetti. Now I'll tell you, we did some tests in the backyard. We sprayed this thing up and then we turned it on and it worked with no issues. We're going to do a couple of power tests in this video. We're going to review the top 7 features. Of course, we're going to unbox it, show you what's included, and take a close look. So why don't we go ahead and get this party started? Hi, this is Al from techmadeezy with a really quick message. The video you're about to watch is sponsored. We received this product from the vendor. But keep in mind, we will be very honest with you as we review the product. That is very important to us. If you like our video, I sure hope you give us a thumbs up. I hope you share our video. And last, I really hope you subscribe and become a part of the family. Thank you. All right, so here is what we're going to cover in this video, and we'll also have some timestamps in the video description. So hit pause if you want to look at this, but we're going to go ahead and move on. Let's go ahead and get this unboxed. And there you go, the power station and everything it comes with. And let me tell you, this is a 1536 watt-hour battery in this thing. A little heavy, okay, just be aware. But that form factor and that battery and the inverter and everything in it, that's nice. Well, let's take a moment and take a look at what else you get. So let's start off with the user manual. Very simple. You get a small user manual. You can also get an updated one online if you ever need to. Now, I want you to see that this is going to use Bluetti's proprietary connector. And then it goes into like XT60, which is very interesting. So, for instance, this is your AC cord. And this is going to plug right into the side of the unit, I'm pretty sure. All right, this is a female. We'll show you that later on. But that's pretty interesting, right? It's got that lock and unlock like Bluetti does. We've got the solar, right? So your solar cable's with that connector. And that's actually female. And then we've got, and I guess this cable connects to this cable because you now have an XT60 male and female, as you can see. And Anderson on the other side. So we are going to dig into this. We're going to take our close look and do what we normally do. So let's check out this power station. All right, we're going to go ahead and cover detailed specs, all right? Every little spec. After that, I'm going to go and do a close look. So let's talk a little bit about this. First off, it's $1,899 MSRP, all right? And maybe it'll be on sale. We'll have to keep our eye on it, but we'll have a link for this in the video description if you want to purchase this. Now, power, this is 2,400 watts, 120 volt, 20 amp, all right, as far as the AC outlets. Now, there's a feature called power lifting mode. You'll be able to go up to 3,600 watts. But listen to this. That is really made for resistive loads, like electric blankets, kettles, hair dryers, stuff like that. So leave it off. You have to turn it on by going to the app. Leave that off for now. All right. Now, this also has parallel mode, which means you can connect 2 of these. And instead of 2,400 watts, you can go to 4,800 watts. That's insane. Now, this is real clean power. All right. So when you plug stuff into these outlets, as you can see here, it's pure sine wave power. So that's really important. Again, not all power stations offer that. Pass-through charging, so you can charge this and you can use it at the same time. So think about it. You could charge this with solar while you're powering your home during an outage. That's going to be really helpful. Now, this also has a UPS feature, right? Uninterrupted power supply. And they're saying that this thing will be 15 milliseconds or faster, so pretty darn cool. Battery capacity on this is 1,536 watt hours just in this alone, and it is expandable. I'll talk about that in a minute. Now, this is an LFP battery, lithium iron phosphate battery. So they're saying you'll get 3,500 charge cycles via silent mode. So keep that in mind. They're now clarifying. If you have it on turbo mode, you won't get that. So silent mode, basically meaning when you charge this, you can choose from silent mode and turbo mode. So silent mode doesn't apply a lot of heat to the battery, you understand? So when you're charging this and you're doing it in silent mode, it will take a little longer, but it's a little better for the battery, all right? So we talked about parallel mode, right? And how it can actually make it more powerful. But guess what? When you connect to and you're going in parallel mode, you can then go over 20,000 watt hours, right? Instead of 10,000 watt hours, 20,000 watt hours. Now, this also has a BMS, right? So it's going to monitor current, voltage, and temperature. So you shouldn't have to worry about that. This has app control, all right? So you'll be able to use Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. And to my knowledge, it should be Bluetooth 5.0. And they don't really mention the Wi-Fi, as far as the details there. Weight. So this is not light. 72 pounds or 33 kilograms. And this now has a 6-year warranty, which is pretty nice. All right, we're almost done with specs, and then we're going to do our close look. So AC outlets, you've got 2 of them. All right, so that 2,400 watts or the 3,600 watts if you're using power lift mode. Again, leave that off for now. Don't use powerlifting mode unless you need to. It's got a 30 amp NEMA TT30. It's got an RV port, so it's a DC port, 30 amp, 360 watts max. This also has 2 USB Type A 18 watt and 2 Type C 100 watt. It has a car charge outlet also. That's 12 volt, 10 amp, 120 watts. And let's talk about input, right? So you can charge this by plugging it into a wall, right? So normally it would be about 2,200 watts. If you have a B210 battery connected, it'll actually go to 2,400 watts, which is interesting. Charge time on this is from 0 to 80% in 45 minutes, and I believe that's using turbo mode. So be aware, the more you use turbo mode, obviously that applies heat to the battery, and obviously it will shorten your cycles a little bit. Now, solar is 1,200 watts max, 11 to 60 volts, 21 amp, all right? And they say that you can charge in solar in about 2 hours with perfect conditions, charging this to 100%. But it's going to be rare that you're going to get to 1,200 watts and obviously the perfect conditions. So, you got to figure that's going to be about 2 to 4 hours in reality. Car charge, if you're going to charge this by a car charger, it can take 14 to 15 hours if it's 12 volt. Or 7 to 8 hours if it's 24 volt. Now, temperature notes, I'm going to put up an image and also the dimension. I'll go ahead and put up some images so you can see the temperature notes and the dimensions, and hit pause if you'd like to review those. I'm also going to put this up. So storage and maintenance on page 7 and 8 in the user manual, okay? Take a look at this if you're concerned about storage and maintenance, because obviously that's going to be key. All right, so I talked a little bit about expansion, but I thought I would show you some visuals. So that is a B210 battery on the bottom of the AC240. MSRP is on the right side for both units. Now, the cable isn't connected, so let me show you an example. So that is not an AC240, but that's kind of what the cable looks like when it's connected. So it does stick out, so just be aware. And let me actually show you kind of the full extreme, right? If you went 20,000 watt hours with a parallel kit, that is an example of what it would look like. Now it's time for our close look at this beast. So let's start off with the display. They changed their display, recently with a lot of power stations, and it's a much nicer display. So here's your power button. Press that once. It lights up in green, and look at this display. So you've got your battery percentage. You've got the bars showing you the battery, how much battery you have. You've got DC on this side. So we've got DC input and DC output, right? And then you've got AC input and AC output. Obviously, this is going to be your charge and discharge time, depending on what you're doing. But beautiful, beautiful display, all right? Your power buttons, you've got your DC power button here, USB, and your AC. So as you can see, they've already really outlined those sections there, all right? Let's turn this off. So you've got your car charger. We talked about that in the spec. So there you go, 12 volt, right? 10 amp, about 120 watts. Now here's your RV port, all right? And so let me show you something. So you get these cables, right? You get this cable here with an Anderson, and then you get this connection cable here. And so most RVs have a Anderson, and so what you're going to do here is you're going to just take this, connect it, all right? You're going to connect this guy right here into your RV port. And that's an output, right? It's a DC output. And there you go. You now have Anderson plug right into your RV. And DC is definitely much more efficient than AC. So pretty darn cool. Again, this one is 12 volt, 30 amp, 360 watt max. So be aware, it's going to have some limitations. Your USB type C's are on the top. Your USB type A's are on the bottom. Nice covers too, by the way, real nice covers. And again, you want to use USB, you got to turn it on, all right? Now, here is your normal 120 volt, right? 2,400 watt plugs. And I like these. They're easy, they just lay down really nice. And then this guy is basically your TT30, your 30 amp. So this is AC and this is DC. So you're going to definitely use, less battery because DC is more efficient. So anytime you can use DC versus AC, do it. It's worth it, all right? Especially if you have like a USB fan, plug it into your USB. Don't plug it into your AC, all right? So that is the front of it. Now I'm going to turn this off for a minute. All right, that'll turn off. Now, on the right of this machine here, you're going to see that you've got a couple things going on. So your grounding screw goes here. Your bleed valve is right there. Here is where you plug in your solar cable, right? This is your DC PV. Again, as you can see, they even put everything there for you, right? 11 to 60 volt, 21 amp. That's really good, 21 amp, 1200 watt max. All right. AC input, you got your AC cable. It plugs right into there, right? There's no power brick, which is nice. So that's going to be key. And here is the magical AC port that I talked about earlier. You'll be able to connect two of these AC240s, double the power and double the actual battery capacity, which is really nice. Now let's check out the left side, and that's where you have your battery expansion. Plugs right in. Again, they give you all the information right there on the bottom, which is nice. But there's where you're going to plug in those batteries. Here is your fan, right? Your ventilation. It's going to pass through. All right. All right. Your fans are here, so it's probably going to suck the air through here and pass it through here. The back is pretty plain, no big deal. And then the top is a simple top, and you do have a little bit of grip here on the handles. So I'll show you real quick. You'll see here that they do have some grip, so it is a little rubbery, but not too much. So if your hands are wet or whatnot, so that feels good. And on the bottom, you do actually have some rubber on the bottom to protect where you're putting this. This is pretty heavy, so I'm not going to turn this upside down. But really heavy unit. Don't forget, 72 pounds. But you're talking some power here, and it's expandable. Now, I want to talk a little more about parallel mode because, you know, to have a power station that is IP65 rated, to be able to use it indoor or outdoor is going to be pretty cool. And so let's talk a little bit more about this parallel port. So I learned a couple of things. Number one, there's a box that's coming out that actually clips onto the side of the handle, which is really nice. And that is a P480A. That's actually the model number. Now, there's no pricing right now. But again, as I said in the video, when you connect this box, you're going to go from 2,400 watts to 4,800 watts. You're going to go from expansion of over 10,000 watt hours to 20,000 watt hours. All right? Now, here's a couple of other things. So this box is going to actually give you two outlets. It's going to give you a 30 amp outlet, and it's going to give you a 50 amp outlet, which is amazing. Think about that, by combining the power of these two machines, which I think is phenomenal. So we're going to look out for that. It isn't available. There's no pricing, but you know, you're going to be able to connect to both AC parallel ports, and then you get those two outlets. More to come, all right? But let's continue on with this review. All right, we got a bonus from Jeff from Waveform Science, and you guys should check out his channel. But Steve reached out to him because he does some Bluetti reviews, and he was able to send Steve some images so we can get a better look at the parallel kit. Let's take a look at the first image. There you go. It's connected to the handle slot, as you can see there. And again, it is connected to two AC240 units. And the last one is a close-up of the box. The left side is a 50 amp. The right side is a 30 amp. Again, special thanks to Jeff. Jeff, thanks so much. And yeah, go ahead and check out Jeff's channel. Okay, this is something that I include in every one of my power station videos moving forward. It's called Know Before You Buy. And my goal with this is that you don't go out and buy something that is not going to work for you. All right? I don't want you spending the money. I don't want you to have the headache. And I can tell you how this started. I had a friend that bought a power station, and it was a small one. And because it was a power station, I believe she assumed it would power her coffee maker. And so she was extremely disappointed. And after talking with her, I tried to explain it's more about knowledge and understanding. And so that's why I put together Know Before You Buy, because I want you to think about a few things that I'm going to go over in this section. So let me get started with number one. Number one is, what do you want to power? You have to just stop for a minute and say, you know what am I using this for? Is it for a camping trip? Is it for a road trip? Am I buying this in the case of an emergency if my power goes out? Am I taking this to a cabin that we go to every once in a while? Right? So what do you want to power? Refrigerators, TVs, phones, you may be the internet, you know, a laptop, LED lights. So take a moment, write that down. What do you want to power? Number two, do you know how much power your appliances and device require? You probably don't. Most people don't. I learned so much in the last couple of years, and I still don't know everything. So I'm going to be showing you an accessory towards the end of this video that I highly recommend you get, because it's going to help you, determine how much power your laptop uses, your TV uses, your phone uses. But let's stick to this page here. So number two, how much power? So you need to know that, okay? And the other thing is, some of these devices have startup wattage, surge wattage. If you're going to be powering a refrigerator uses wattage, but then it has a compressor that kicks on to make the refrigerator cold. And that can use hundreds of watts, especially older type refrigerators. Let's look at some examples real quick on the bottom. LED lights can use 5, maybe 10 watts. Those are the newer LED lights, right? Laptops can use 100. They could use more. It just depends on how old it is. Is it a gaming laptop, you know? TVs can vary. New TVs use 100 to 200 watts, those thin TVs. But if you have a larger one, it could use 300 watts. If you have an older one, well, those can use like 400 watts. And what about a CPAP, right? You know, if you have to sleep overnight and you have to use a CPAP, well, those can vary from 50 to 150 watts, probably more, probably less. Let's take a look at the next section. So here's part 3. How long, right? How long will you need to power the appliances or devices? Now, again, let's just say it's for an emergency, right? Maybe your power goes out once a year for like 8 to 12 hours. Let's use that as an example, all right? But you have to know, or at least have an idea before you make a purchase, because how long really connects with the battery size of the power stations. So let's look at the next slide. So let's put it all together, right? Number 1, what do you want to power? What devices or appliances? Have a list of that. Number 2, how much power do the appliances and devices require? Now, the tool or accessory I'm going to show you coming up is going to help you do that. And number 3, how long will you need to power them, right? Number 3, again, pertains to the size of the battery, right? But number 1, you know, and number 2 really pertains to the power of the unit, because each of these power stations have different power ratings. So here's an accessory that I'm going to recommend. And the brand, don't worry about the brand, because sometimes this brand's not available. I'll make sure links are in the description. But this device here, and I'm going to demo it in a moment so you can see it. I'm going to show it to you. It's real simple. But if you're new to it, you know, it's intimidating, right? So this sells for around $25, and you can connect devices and appliances up to 1,875 watts. So just be aware, or 15 amps. Now, again, I don't expect you to know that, but I have to tell you that because if you plug in, let's say, a 3,000 watt like toaster oven, it's not going to work on this, okay? But let me demo it for you. But what this will do is it will help you understand the wattage that your devices and appliances use. So let's check out the demo. So we're going to do a simple demo, you know, so you know what this device is about. Again, it doesn't cost much, first of all, right? I think it's around $25. And depending on the brand that's available, we'll put a link in the description. But just realize also that you can't plug everything into this. I believe there's like an 1,800 watt limit and a certain amount of amps. Now, I know that's complicated, but if you want to know how many watts your light is using, how many watts your refrigerator is using, how many watts your laptop uses, your phone, this is perfect for it, okay? So this is plugged into my outlet, as you can see on the wall, and now I've got this light plugged in here. So all I need to do now is turn on the light, and let's see how many watts it uses. Now, again, it is on the watt screen, and this does do more than watts, so just be aware, okay? You can actually figure out kilowatts, which is how your electric company bills you, but I don't want to get that complicated. So let me turn the light on. And look at that, we're using 6.3 watts on the LED light. That's really good, right? And again, plug in your laptop, plug in your phone. Again, you'll learn more about the wattage that your appliances use, even your coffee maker. But if this was helpful, give us a thumbs up. It really helps the channel. And we're going to continue on with the review. All right, so first of all, I hope that the information you just saw in Know Before You Buy helped you out, especially using that device to check the power of some of the devices and appliances you're going to use. The link will be in the description for that device. But let's take some time now and go over estimated run times. So as you can see here, based off that 1536 watt-hour battery, here are some estimated run times. So a small college refrigerator, probably about 75 watts, let's say, you'll be able to get around 18 hours. Now, if it's really old, the compressor is going to affect the runtime, so be aware, because when the compressor kicks on, it does use more power to cool off that refrigerator and make what's inside cold. Now, what about a full-size refrigerator? Look, the refrigerator we use here at the house, is a newer model. It's definitely more efficient. So again, keep that in mind. But a full-size refrigerator, let's say it used 200 watts consistently, which it's not gonna. You'd be able to run it for 6.5 hours. Again, if you have an old refrigerator, these numbers are going to be very different. If you have a new, more efficient refrigerator, you would be surprised. You might get 12 hours, 16 hours. Now, what about home internet? Your router and your modem, most of them average around 50 watts. Yours could be more or less, but for 50 watts, you can get about 28 hours running home internet. What about a fan? Well, a decent-sized stand-up fan's about 60 watts, and you'd be able to get about 23.5 hours. Now, LED lights are very interesting. Most of them use about 5 watts, some use 10 watts. It's a lot less than the old light bulbs. But if you plug in an LED light using a 10 watt, you can get over 140 hours. Now, what about a CPAP? So, a CPAP, if it used 100 watts, you'd be able to get 14 hours. But keep in mind, if you're using a CPAP with heat or humidity, it could be less than that. All right? Not all CPAPs are created equal. Your laptop, if you have a basic laptop using about 50 watts, you can get about 28 hours. But if you're using a laptop that requires more, you probably can get 10 hours. That's still very respectful. If you have an iPad 12.9 inch, you could charge that almost 35 times. If you have an iPhone 14, a regular 14, not a Pro, not a Max, you can probably charge that about 110 times. And if you have a Samsung S23, again, your basic S23, you can probably charge it about 95 times. All right, now it's time to go over the top 7 features of the Bluetti AC240. Feature number 1, and again, in no specific order, feature number 1 is IP65 rated. Water and dust resistant. This thing is dust tight, and it's protected against jets of water. Feature number 2, it's expandable. You can go to over 10,000 watt hours with 4 B210 batteries. Plus, if you do parallel mode, you can go over 20,000 watt hours. Feature number 3, this thing is powerful. Out of the box, 2,400 watts, but if you connect parallel mode, you're at 4,800 watts. And don't forget, you have power lifting mode. For resistive loads, you can go to 3,600 watts, but learn more about that feature before you use it. Feature number 4, this thing is RV and boat compatible. It not only has a NEMA TT30 amp, but it has an RV port as well, giving you Anderson access, and the cable is included. Feature number 5, this thing is super fast charging, 0 to 80% in 45 minutes using 2,200 watts of AC charging. And if you have a B210 connected, you can actually get 2,400 watts of AC charging. Feature number 6, you can have 1,200 watts of solar charging. That is really good at 21 amp, by the way. Really nice. Feature number 7, You got a super fast UPS on this. I mean, again, it's not the fastest UPS out because, but for a power station, within 15 milliseconds is really respectful. All right, it is time for some testing. And we're going to see if this power station can run the 55-inch TV, our internet, our security cameras, and the TV lights, as well as that Dyson fan that you see. Well, let's check this out. All right. Well, everything is off. My girl is here, so she'll hang out with us. But we've got our router back there. We've got our security camera system back there. So we're going to go ahead and turn on AC. And then what we're going to do is just watch the screen, all right, to see the AC output. And the TV, we're going to have the TV turn on. We're going to turn on the fan. So just give us a moment. But let's turn on AC and just watch. The lights on the back of the TV just turned on. 92, 127, 128, 143, 163. So 168 looks like the highest, maybe. TV's starting to turn on. So I saw 168, 172. Again, for a power station like this, 172 is nothing, right? I mean, this is a 2,400 watt power station. Now, the TV will turn off and turn back on. It's just what the Roku does. I can't explain it. But 172 again. All right. And let me turn the fan on now. Okay, 174 I just saw. All right. Just waiting for everything to settle. That TV should settle in a moment. All right, 174 was the highest. And that Roku just dances, huh? We're waiting for that thing to settle. And we'll do more testing after this. But again, 174 popped back up. So I'm going to just turn the fan on for now. Okay, I'll turn on the Dyson fan. You'll hear it. All right. We're going to turn the Dyson fan all the way up to 10. That's the highest. And now you could see we used 250 watts a second ago. All right, it's going to drop down because the TV's turning off and it'll turn back on. And I'll wait. But, yep, there goes the TV now. So 248 watts. So 250 was the highest. Again, easy, right? I mean, this has got 57% battery. 57% battery. Easy. No problem whatsoever. And again, our router, our modem, our security cameras, the lights on the back of the TV, the fan is on high, the Dyson fan. And no issues whatsoever. So what else can we do? So I'm here in the kitchen and I'm charging this. It's on turbo mode. I'm getting about look at that, 1,200 watts, 1,300 watts coming from AC input. That's amazing. All right, so I'm getting it almost 1,400. Going up and down a little bit. Don't know why, but a lot of wattage coming in while it's plugged in. And I said to myself, you know what? Let me make a cup of coffee. Does it actually handle a coffee maker? And that's also a good demonstration of pass-through charging. So let's turn the coffee maker on. All right. I've got to turn on AC, of course. So AC is on. Again, open this up, close it, kind of activates the coffee maker. I'm going to make a small cup. I'll make a 4-ounce cup. But can it work? Power a coffee maker, charge this, demonstrate pass-through charging. Then maybe I'll have a banana later on. I'm getting hungry. All right, so let's do a 4-ounce. All right, I'm pressing 4. I'm going to hit the K button. And what we're going to do is watch the screen, right? So we've got input. We want to watch for output. All right, I'm going to hit the button right now. Coffee maker starting up. 1,100, 1,300. All right, so you see that? It says 1300. And then look at AC input, right? So AC input makes up some of the difference. Coffee coming out, all right? Smells good. And look at that, we are making a cup of coffee while we're charging this. 1300 watts going out, almost 1800 watts coming in while we're making our cup of coffee. That's pretty cool. And there you go, a cup of coffee finished up. This dropped down to 0, and the AC charging is making its adjustment. That worked. Huh. I wonder, now that the coffee maker worked, would a microwave work? Now, you know what's funny? This microwave says it's 1100 watts, but it actually uses a lot more. I guess surge wattage, right? It definitely uses a lot more. So you really can't use a microwave with a lot of power stations. But let's turn the power button on. Let's turn on AC. And again, we have 1400 watts coming in as we're charging this. So keep that in mind. So we are charging it, and we're going to power a microwave. Again, that is, you know, definitely pass-through charging. So I'm going to go ahead and hit 1. It's going to default to high. And we've got popcorn. Now, we're not going to wait the full 2 minutes for the popcorn to really do its thing. But let's go ahead and hit, I'll hit 1. Let's watch the screen. 500, 1,000, 17, 1,800. Look at that, 1,850 watts. 60. 1,890, 1,800. That hit almost 1,900 watts. Now look, it's making up the difference. We're not having any issues. I don't hear any power issues, no struggles. Right, so I'll wait a little bit so you can hear the popcorn pop. But 1,800 watts. Of course, the microwave says 1,100, so that's the confusing part, right? You got to know these things definitely use more power, especially surge. This is definitely more than a surge, because surges don't last this long. We've got popcorn coming. But there you go. It's going to stop now because I have it on a timer. But we had no issues. No issues running the microwave while charging the power station. Pretty nice. And did you know this thing is IP65 rated? I mean, check that out. And I guess the question is, after it gets wet like this, will it turn on? Well, let's find out. And there she goes. She turns on with no issues whatsoever. And I guess this can be helpful depending on who you are and what you do. So guys, I gotta tell you, this is a pretty powerful power station. And having IP65 is really interesting, you know. I don't see it for me, but for someone out there that might need that feature, that's pretty darn cool. This thing is dust tight and water resistant, as you saw, as we showed you in the video. But if this video helped you in any way, take a moment and give us a thumbs up. We would greatly appreciate it. And by the way, if you want to follow us on social media, we'll go ahead and put our social media channels right up top. All right, right up there. And there's our Tesla channel. We do have a Tesla channel. We got a Tesla about a year ago. We've got 21,000 miles now. We've not had any issues. It is wonderful, the limited maintenance on that vehicle. We're starting to do accessory videos, and we'll come out with some other stuff, but check us out at My Tesla Journey 1 on YouTube. Look us up, subscribe. That'd be great. I'll add some videos here on the right. And if you want to subscribe to our channel here at techmadeezy, go ahead and click that round techmadeezy logo right there, and you'll subscribe and join the family. Let us know, comment, let us know what you think. Have a wonderful day.